Welcome to another exciting episode of What's Cooking. My name is Mona Ahmed. I'm the founder, owner, and chief everything officer of Mona's Creations, where we make restaurant-inspired frozen skillet meals. I thought I'd take a few minutes today just to show you what our products are about. And here's an example. We have a chicken tikka masala. You would find it in the freezer aisle. When you open up the bag, you'll find two pouches. One includes 2 naans that the consumer just needs to warm. And the other pouch includes the entree. It's the frozen entree. We've actually done all the chopping and the mixing. And so that all the consumer has to do is just defrost and cook on the stovetop for a few minutes, like 10 minutes, on the stovetop or the Instapot. And then you can enjoy. So if you're interested to learn more about our products, please do visit our website listed below. So I'd love to start the show again by saying Assalamu alaikum to everyone. May peace and blessings be upon all of you. I thought it'd be fun today to make a snack item. And the one that we're going to do today is actually gluten-free and it's plant-based. And it's also very versatile. We're going to make Pyaz ke pakore. Pyaz means onion in the Pakistani Urdu language. And pakore is really like a spiced fritter. And so you can say we're kind of going to, give an onion ring a new twist. And it's something we really enjoy, we eat a lot, and you're also going to fall in love with it. Because the batter that we'll be using, we'll be making it with chickpea flour. And I thought it'd be nice if we actually also make like a dipping sauce with it, and we'll make a chutney with it. All right, so with that, let's get started. So today we'll be working with 15 ingredients. And the first one is, as I mentioned, the chickpea flour. We call it besan, and it's also known as gram flour. And we're going to be using a cup of it. Now, I wanted to take a second really just to show you kind of what chickpeas, how do we get that flour? Like when you go into the markets, you can actually also see like a dried chickpea. And they're actually kind of very smaller in size. And it's really when you soak them for like about overnight or about at least 8 hours that they almost double and triple in size. And I think that's what we're really used to seeing many times when you get like a canned chickpea or so. And there are different types of chickpeas. We also call them garbanzo beans. And in our language, we call them kabuli chane. And chana is actually the chickpea and kabuli is the style, which is more the beige color. And we also have kala chana, which is actually considered the black chickpea. It's very interesting when it comes to cooking, like if you actually want to make a gravy or something, you could see that the kala chana actually is a little hardier. It doesn't smash as quickly when it cooks, and so the texture of the chickpea stays more intact. Whereas the beige chickpea, once it's cooked, there are chances where it can get a little more mushed. But really, it's amazing. It's a great little bean, If you think about the nutritional facts of it, first of all, it's gluten-free. And if you think about like the calories, it's about 353 calories for 1 cup of chickpea flour or besan. And that's what I'm using today. Carbs are about 53 grams, but fibers 10 grams, proteins 21 grams. So if you're really looking for something that's protein rich and even like fewer net carbs, really besan is a really wonderful flour to work with. And today I'm going to show you one way to make it, but really you can use it as any kind of batter and a flour in many of your dishes. So in addition to our chickpeas, we'll be using our pyaz, which is our onion. I've already sliced some. We're using about 2 medium-sized onions. And I've already sliced them, but I'm also going to show you how we can slice them because we really want them to kind of be long pieces of onions, but kind of finely sliced. We're going to have some water. We're going to also use some long hot chili pepper. You know how I love my long hot chili peppers. And we're going to use some oil. We are going to deep fry these because they're fritters. So we're going to use 2 cups. I'm using canola oil. You can use any frying oil. At the end of the day, you can use less oil if you'd like. You can even actually make it in an air fryer if you prefer. In terms of spices, we're going to use about 1 teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of turmeric. And this time we're going to use some whole spices. I know in the past you've seen me use a lot of powders. And so like for example, here is ajwain. Ajwain is actually, I think the English and scientific name for it is carmine. and it's very aromatic. It looks like fennel seeds, and but the smell of it is more like thyme, and when you taste it, it's more like oregano and anise. And so really a little bit goes a long way, which is nice. We're also going to use coriander like pods, and so many times you've seen me use coriander powder. These are actually the seeds we're going to use. And I also have, we're going to smash them a little bit, but we're going to be working with the whole seeds today. And we're using cumin. So the cumin seeds we're going to use today. Again, before I've used powder, today we're using seeds. We're also going to use some chili powder. And I have some water, and here also, so I thought we'd make the chutney as well. So with the chutney, we're going to use some lemon, we're going to use some yogurt, we're going to use some fresh mint leaves, and we're going to use some cilantro. And so with that said, I think let's get started. Today we're going to do some muscle work. You're going to see, I'm going to be using my muscles, and so it'll be a fun show. Okay, so let's start off by, in the bowl, I'm going to take my 1 cup of besan. So we're going to start off by kind of putting in all the dry ingredients first. And you'll see that when we put in the mixture that we make today, it really depends on you how you want the texture of it, because it is really a batter, a binding agent. From here then we'll put some chili powder. I'm going to use a quarter. No, actually, I'll use a half a teaspoon. I'm going to use, before I get to zira, let me take care of all my ground spices. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of turmeric. Again, turmeric also not only for the health benefits, but also because of the color, because we're going to be looking for golden brown fritters. And now, I'm actually going to use my mortar pestle. It's so interesting. I was looking at, just learning a little bit more about it. Mortar pestle, we call it actually havan dasta in Pakistan. And that's, you know, we say it in Urdu, havan dasta, but it really stems from like the Persian language. And so when I was learning a little bit more about mortar pestles, it said that this was something that was created in the Stone Age, and we use it even today. So I thought that was quite fascinating, that with all the advancements, we still kind of go back to the basics that work really well for us. So what we're going to do is that I want to, before I put these whole spices in the mixture, I actually want to kind of smash it a little bit. Not to make it a powder, but something that, so it just kind of breaks and releases some of the oils and the aromas. So in this case, we're using 1 teaspoon of cumin. So I'm just going to take that and put that in here. And as you can see, I'm really just kind of smashing it a little bit. Just so that the seed breaks a little bit. I can already start smelling it. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. And so we'll still have kind of whole seeds, but you'll also start seeing that there's smashed ones. And it's kind of nice when you taste the fritter to actually taste the smashed seed. Okay, so as you can see, I didn't do too much, but I did do enough that you can smell the aromas. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. So we're gonna put that in there. Then I'm gonna take my coriander seeds. And so, in case you were interested, these are the different stages. You could have these little pods, and which actually if you put in the ground, you'll end up getting cilantro. And it's very easy, it's so nice, so easy to grow actually. So if you do like cilantro, just pop some in soil and you have some fresh cilantro plant. Okay, with the coriander pod seeds, we're going to actually use about a tablespoon. So right now I have a teaspoon, so I'm just gonna put like 2.5 of these, 2.5 teaspoons you can say. They kind of like to go everywhere and pop. And again, I'm going to just mash them a little bit. You can hear the sounds, and you can start smelling the aromas of all these seeds that are starting to pop and break. Very nice. See, this is, I was saying that we're going to use some extra mussel today, so here we go. So again, not too much, but enough that, oh my God, you can just smell it. It's so nice. I'll put that in there. And then the next we're using is the ajwain. And as I mentioned, again, a little goes a long way. And so we're really just going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon. And I'm also just going to grind it, smash it just a little bit. This also has a very nice scent and a very nice taste. Okay. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to put this in here too. Okay, great. Now I'm done with my mortar pestle right now. And now what I'll do is I want to, I'll just mix this a little bit. And then I'm actually going to add a little bit of my cilantro and a little bit of my long hot chili pepper. So let's just take a handful and I'm going to chop it. I basically I washed it, cut off the long stems, and I'm just going to put small pieces of it here. Again, nothing fancy, but enough that you can taste the bite of it. And I'm also just gonna, I have a long hot, I had one, I'm gonna use half of it for the pakora, and the other half I'm gonna use for the chutney. So I've taken 1/2, and with this, I'm just gonna cut the end. Throw this in my garbage. With this chili, you will probably want it to be a little smaller in size, because when the person eats it, when you eat it, you don't want it to be, you don't want the heat to be too much. So just take a moment to chop it a little more. There we go. All right, so we'll mix this in here. Now, again, all right, here we go. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to put a little bit of water in here. I have about 1/2 cup of water right now, but I don't really want to use a lot of it because I really want the onions to help make the batter smoother. So I'm just going to put a little bit of water and see how it goes. So right now maybe 1/4 cup. And again, you're going to be thinking that because we're using onions and the water's going to release, that's why I'm not going to use too much water right now. But if you were going to use this batter for, let's say, you can use it to dip fish in, or if you wanted to dip an eggplant, slice of eggplant, then the batter would be a little more similar to like a pancake batter. You know, you would put enough water in there that it really dips, and you can coat it that way. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, so before we get the oil started, let's also cut the onions. Now, so far as you can see, I have already cut the onions, like 1 of the 2 onions, and they've actually like little slices and stuff. And so I've washed it and peeled it. But what I want is that when you actually cut the onions, you know, the ends, we want to cut that off, because we want that when we end up cutting the onions, they actually just easily separate. So you want to make sure that you cut off the ends so that there are no ends to it, so that we can do a nice slice. And I'll do the same thing here. So you see the end right there? We're going to cut that off. And this way, when we slice it, you're going to be able to see that it actually comes out nicely. And then I'm just going to thinly slice it. Again, as I mentioned, you can, you know, use any vegetable, but we're using, and you see how we're using onions, but you see how they easily come out? You may end up crying during this time, because sometimes when the onions are very strong. So here you go. And so do you see how they just separate? And that's what we want. I'll put that in here. Okay. Just cut some more onions. I think that's good. So again, you have little rainbows, but you're going to separate them, and then, so they separate really nicely. And here we go. All right, perfect. So we've done our chopping for now for this, and I'll just move my board. And I want to start the getting the oil hot. So I'm going to put the stove on to like medium. And as I mentioned, I'm going to use 2 cups of oil. And again, this is a canola oil. So we're just going to put it in the pot. If you feel more comfortable having the pot a little further away, please do. You know, always try to be safe in the kitchen, just because the oil does splatter. And so, but I think this is good. Now, what's going to be interesting is I'm going to put on my gloves. And this is where I was saying that don't hesitate to get your hands dirty. Get your hands in it, you know? And we're going to actually use the onions and put them all in here. We're basically going to massage all the onions into the batter. It's very interesting, but it's really because the onions release water. And by doing that, you're already going to start to see that the texture of the basin is changing, right? All of a sudden now, this is becoming also like a binding agent. And really, this is the goal. You just want to put enough energy in it to really try to get as much of the water from the onions out. So again, as I mentioned, if you were going to use basin for, like, let's say coating eggplant, that you would make a batter that was a little thinner, and you would put more water in that, and then all you would do is slice the eggplant and dip it. Same thing with, let's say, if you want to batter fish. Same thing. You want the texture to be a little more like a pancake thickness batter, and then you would dip the fish in it. But in this case, we are taking advantage that onions have water. And that's what we're doing. And we do have our water on the side in case we need it. But as you can see, the texture's changing. And that's what we're looking for. Don't be afraid to touch. Honestly, I think cooking is such a wonderful experience. You know, it helps us stimulate all our senses. We get to see it, we get to taste the food, we touch it, we smell it, we hear it. So it's really a wonderful thing. You know, there's so many studies done that when you are stressed, go cook. You know, you should just go cook. And it's so true, because you get to be creative and you get to have fun. And if it doesn't turn out so great, that's okay, right? We'll do better next time. All right, so you see this? And so it's the texture, all of a sudden, that dry basin is now, it's more of a coating agent, you know? All right, so after we've actually massaged in all the onions, and as you can see, the mixture is like this now. And so what I did was I took off my gloves, washed my hands, and I thought I'll just use a spoon now to scoop the pakoras in. And the oil is hot, because I just did a sample. I put it in, and now we're just gonna put it in. And we're gonna let it cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. We want them to be golden brown and crispy. And so it's really nice. You can really just smell all the delicious ingredients and see the colors. And so it's very simple. I'm not really making very big pakoras. You can make them whatever size you'd like, but just keep in mind that if you do make a bigger size, they just need to cook a little longer, because you want it to cook through. And so see, you could hear it. So nice. Just watch your heat. You don't want the pakoras to burn or cook too quickly. I think that's good. Maybe I can add one more while that cooks on the edge. And what I'll do is I'll get a plate, and I'll actually put some paper towel on it, because once we take out the fritters, if we want any of the excess oil to come out, it'll be absorbed in the towel. The pakoras are looking really good. You can hear. So we'll just turn some of them. Because again, we want them golden brown. The turmeric also, I mean, the basin already, the color is there, the beige color, but the turmeric also gives it a little bit more of a yellow color. You don't want to overcrowd the pan, so you do want it to have some room to cook and fry. And again, as I mentioned, you can make the same thing exactly in an air fryer. You know, if you'd like to not use oil or as much oil, definitely. Oh, so you see, they're getting to be a nice golden brown color. They're almost ready to take out. I think these are have cooked through now, and I'm going to now put them on the plate. You can see that they're golden brown. You can see that they're crunchy. And again, the oil just, the paper towel just helps absorb any extra oil that may be on the pakoras. And as you can see, they're all different shapes and sizes, but that's okay. All of it is, you know, really delicious. All right, now I'm gonna put my next batch. And again, we'll do the same thing. I'm actually just using 2 spoons, but really just to put them in the oil. And you don't, again, like we put fresh green chilies, and we put chili powder, but if you don't want to make it as spicy, you don't have to. And of course, if you do want to make it more spicy, you can. That's the wonderful thing about cooking. You know, you're in charge. You get to dictate what the menu is, as well as how much or how little you want to put of something. So that's the nice thing. And again, these just, you know, there's another take. They're crispy, they're golden brown, they smell so good. And the flour, yeah, chickpea flour besan is a really nice flour to work with. But I did use like my pan compared to something that's a little too shallow, because you do want the oil to be, like you to be safe when you're working with oil. And here we go. Our last pakora, you just put it in. Okay, great. And so this is what 1 cup of besan made. You know, you'll see from here and here. And I thought now we can work on making the chutney. And so a chutney is actually, it's a condiment. It's like a dipping sauce. And there are also many different types of chutneys. And the one we're going to make today is made with cilantro and fresh mint, some chili pepper, and some lemon. And what I'm going to do, and some water. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use half of the batch that we can eat as is, as a dipping sauce, and the other half of the batch I thought we can actually dip in some, put in the yogurt and make that. So that's a yogurt one. So, but if you are looking for a plant-based, then you can just eat it without the yogurt. All right, so now let me put in my little grinder my cilantro. This is a handful of cilantro. Again, I washed it. I don't need to chop it because the blender is going to chop it. Meanwhile, our pakoras are cooking nicely. I'm going to also take our fresh mint. I love fresh mint. So this, you could say maybe what, a half a cup? And oh, it smells so good. And, or maybe like you could say 3 sprigs, you know. You just put that in here as well. We're going to use our chili pepper. In this one, I'm really just going to, I cut off the end, and I'm just going to kind of snap it in 2 or 3 pieces, just with my hand, because I'll let the blender, the grinder, do the rest of the work. I'm going to also, you can use 1 small lemon juice, or if this was more of a medium-sized lemon, so I'm going to just squeeze that, and that should be enough lemon juice for us. Just make sure there are no seeds that come out. And that's good. We'll put that here. And I'm going to put a little bit of water. We'll see how much water we need. There we go. I don't want to forget about our pakoras. So let me just check on them. I think I can turn them. There we go. They're nice. Nice and golden brown. And here we go. Okay, we're gonna let that cook. All right, so now let's just go back to our chutney. You know. I'm gonna see if, okay, I think I'm gonna add a little bit more water. I'm just gonna put push it down closer to the blade. But as you can see, it is grinding and it just needs to be a little more grounded. So I'll put a little more water. There's so many different types of chutneys. You can even just enjoy pakoras with ketchup, to tell you the truth, you know? Okay, I think this is good. For our chutneys, we can definitely have it as is, which is like that. But I think I'm gonna actually put all of it in the yogurt. I think it'll be nice. Let me just make sure our pakoras are doing well. You're doing a lot of multitasking in the kitchen. You gotta keep your eyes and ears on everything. All right, but these pakoras are looking good. They've had a chance to cook. The ones that just need a little more time to just get a little more golden brown, you can just leave in for a few minutes. Let me just take the yogurt. Usually when we make like a yogurt chutney, you do want a little bit of liquid in it. And so since we already have the lemon juice and the water in here, it's enough. So I'm just gonna take the bowl and I'm gonna put in the yogurt. This is about 1 cup of yogurt, plain yogurt. It's up to you if you want to use whole milk yogurt or low-fat yogurt or non-fat yogurt. That's whatever your preference is. And I'm just going to mix it a little bit like this. And then I'm going to add some of this. Okay, I'll add all of it. But this is a nice chutney. And now you can put like salt to taste. If you want, I will add a little bit of salt. I'm gonna add half a teaspoon of salt. Just use my hands. And there we go. I think it should be enough. And there we go. Here we have our chutney. And I think we have our last 2 pakoras that are ready. Okay, great. I'm going to turn off the stove. And so here you have it. You know, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed being with me today. I'd like to, thank you again for joining us on What's Cooking. I'm so happy that we could make pakoras together. I would like to end off the show telling you about a word called mazedar. Mazedar means delicious in our language. And so I hope you can enjoy and make these mazedar pakoras, and I hope you're always surrounded with delicious and mazedar food. So until next time, I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.